As a game design major, something important and fascinating to me is the clockwork and inner workings of games. How they function, what makes them successful or not, and especially what makes them stay relevant over the years. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is no different. In this series, I aim to give both myself and you all a better understanding of this mystifying TCG. Everyone take a seat, it's time for game design in Yu-Gi-Oh! Hello, we're back with another episode of game design in Yu-Gi-Oh! So as the title suggests, we're talking about the Magic Circle and meaningful play. I'm sorry to report that the Magic Circle is not new Dark Magician support.
Yeah, so, again, kind of like last video, right off the bat, again, I am not a full-fledged, professional game designer. I am merely a student, and this is just my way to, one, help teach myself a little bit more about the field I'm going into, as well as, two, just kind of my way, I think I'm restating what I just said, because I've already forgotten. Ignore all of this. But yeah, as I'm just a student and not a professional game designer, I have no real authority over most of what I'm going to be talking about. This is really just me, what I've learned in school so far, as well as what I've done in researching, on my own time. So, you take all this with a grain of salt if you wish.
So, as stated, the Magic Circle is not new Dark Magician support. What it is a suspension of disbelief around which a game takes place. The example is that you have a leather-bound ball that means nothing until you place it in a football field with a bunch of sweaty guys around it. The Magic Circle is just this area in which games take place. They are not physical objects for the most part. It's more of, again, like almost like metaphorical kind of thing. To use more like D&D fantasy terms, it's a more of a like ethereal kind of thing. Like it's not a tangible thing that you can take with you and you set it down and there's game inside of it. It is just a concept, an entity, its own thing. How this applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually quite easy. It's just wherever we sit down to play, be it a computer for something like Edo Pro or Dueling Book or Dueling Nexus, be it the playmats that we use. We set them down, the tables we sit at for locals, regionals, etc., or just like the ground. Because I don't know about y'all, but I've definitely dueled on the floor before, and it's dirty. That is really simply what the Magic Circle is. There's not a whole lot more to it, but it is a important thing to know simply because inside this Magic Circle, things have so much different meanings. For like on the example of the football, inside this Magic Circle of football, there is rules and stipulations and addendums that go on along with this leather-bound ball. But the second you take it out, you just have an oblong shape that is just here and exists, and sometimes you deflate it if you're the Patriots. Yeah, we're getting football political in this. But it's an important thing to know because it is helpful in distinguishing when you are sat down and in this game state versus when you're just hanging out and have these objects available to you. Outside the Magic Circle, again, a football has no meaning. Inside, whatever. With Yu-Gi-Oh! It's very interesting because the Magic Circle is where like play takes place. So inside the Magic Circle, we go from cardboard to monsters and spells and traps, and we again suspend our disbelief of the world and truly imagine that some pieces of cardboard are better than other pieces of cardboard simply because of the artwork and the text on them. Outside of this Magic Circle of Yu-Gi-Oh! And where we duel and stuff, does that make sense to anyone? No, it doesn't. Same thing applies to Magic and Pokemon. But the reason why I said that for Yu-Gi-Oh! And like other TCGs, the reason why I say it's a little funky is because even outside of that Magic Circle, they still have some sort of value to us in buying, selling, trading, etc. Like the Magic Circle almost like semi-exists outside of there, and it's my examples were like the playmats that we play on, the tables, the floor, dueling simulators, but it really does kind of expand into just every other real aspect of this. It's a weird one, but it's still, again, like something that I find interesting and I just find useful to know about. And again, it's still not Dark Magician support. So the other thing in the title is called Meaningful Play. That one is not necessarily like, wow, this duel was so much fun and it like did a bunch of things for my mental health and it was so great and it just means a lot to me. Really, meaningful play is I'm going to try that again. Meaningful play is defined in two different ways: descriptive and evaluative. For descriptive, and again, bibliography, like sources, are going to be in the description. So if you want to do your own research, if you just don't believe that my sources say these things, you can check that out. But especially the book Rules of Play by Katie Salen and Eric Zimmerman, highly suggest it if you're interested in game design. Like, if you're interested in any of this and you like want to pursue it to some extent, I highly suggest that book. For descriptive play, I'm just going to read off the quote here, and this comes from the Wikipedia on meaningful play, and that has a lot. I know it's Wikipedia. It has a lot of sources at the bottom, so this is a credible Wikipedia page. I will swear by it, with whatever grain of salt you're giving me. And I believe this quote comes from the book Rules of Play. At the very least, it's directly from the Wikipedia, so I'm quoting it from that. No copyright, whatever. Meaningful play in a game emerges from the relationship between player action and system outcome. It is the process by which a player takes action within the design system of a game, and the system responds to the action. The meaning of an action in a game resides in the relationship between action and outcome, etc. So this is an interesting one because, like, for example, in Dungeons and Dragons, 3rd or 3.5 edition, one of the earlier editions, there was something you could do where you take, you use your action to ready it, and you could do another thing where you can pass along an object. So you can do this thing called ready action pass. And what happens is the second you are given this something, or the second a certain set of, like, a certain situation happens, you pass along something. So in this same edition, there is this thing called the peasant railgun. And it is just as hilarious as it sounds. So what happened was you would get a line of peasants or a line of NPCs, and you'd have them all ready action pass, and you'd have one person on one end, hand them a javelin, and they would all immediately pass along this javelin, and you'd have someone at the end ready action throw it. So what would happen is you would line up 30 NPCs, if you get a whole village on your side, 30 to 40 NPCs. And then in Dungeons and Dragons, one round of combat lasts 6 seconds. And every NPCs and player characters are known as medium size, which means they take up a 5x5 square. So you would have these, for example, 30 NPCs. And then you would have a player on one end and a player on another end. So you have a line of 32 people for this peasant railgun. And what would happen is in 6 seconds, this javelin would travel across all 32 people. And because they're all standing essentially 5 feet apart, in 6 seconds, it would travel 160 feet in 6 seconds. So going from a game and the system that it was in to real world physics, people would calculate different damages because of that. Because if you get hit by a javelin going 160, it's 160 feet every 6 seconds. So divide that by 6. I'm not going to do the math off the top of my head here, but it's a lot. But yeah, it was just this insane, hilarious thing that a bunch of people apparently don't recognize as a mechanic you can do anymore, and that's stupid. The peasant railgun is amazing. Shut up if you think otherwise. That is one example where it is players' actions being input into the system responding with its own how it works, and then pumping out a result. The result being a javelin being thrown at X number of miles per hour. I have seen this done with like 213 NPCs and 2 players, so 215 people. 215 times 5 is whatever. That's a lot. I'm gonna put like the number up here for how many feet it traveled in 6 seconds, but holy shit. Long tangent short, what this is a player input into a system and the system returning something just based off how it, plays and functions and everything. So because Yu-Gi-Oh isn't necessarily a system, it's more of a set of rules and applications from cards and text into those rules. It's a little funky, at least. And my analysis of that would be that the descriptive version of meaningful play here would be X. You play X card, rules take over and kind of analyze what happens to that card, and then you get X outcome. For example, you special summon, I don't know, Elemental Hero Neos. Your opponent solemn judgments it for whatever reason. And the outcome of that is Neos goes to the graveyard, your opponent loses 4,000 life points, and a really good trap card over nothing. That would be kind of, from my standpoint, like my opinion of what descriptive meaningful play would be here. It is just what we input into this system, into these rules, into this what have you, and what the outcome is. So just playing a game. So I mentioned 2 and then went on a long tangent, and so in case you don't remember, because I sure don't either. The other one is evaluative. And this one is a lot easier to transcribe to a TCG. This one is just meaningful play is what occurs when the relationships between actions and outcomes in the game are both discernible and integrated into the larger context of the game. What does that mean? This, from my opinion, from my perspective, from just what I personally know, translates a lot closer to game theory, not the YouTube channel. Shout out to them. Cool, if you like conspiracy theories, I do. I watch them. That it'll be a whole episode in and of itself later, but essentially what it is it's a branch of mathematics that players use, whether they know it or not, to analyze what actions they take to give themselves the best outcome. And again, this will be a whole episode in and of itself because I think, again, all of this is really fascinating and I want to give all of it its own time in the spotlight. But this is easier to apply to Yu-Gi-Oh because this type of meaningful play is derived directly from us as players and what we how we analyze our options in the game and how we rationalize our actions in the game. For example, this is kind of like, your opponent sets up a decent board, not like an unbreakable board, but not like something super weak, but they set up a board, maybe like 2 or 3 negates. And this evaluative meaningful play comes from you rationalizing and you analyzing the field and looking at what you can do and how you can move around this to set up your own board as best you can. Like, this is coming directly from, okay, I am here, this is what I know of my opponent, here's how we go about doing things. This is, I feel, a more direct, meaningful play from player, whereas in descriptive, it also both rely to an extent on the system, but descriptive relies a little more because descriptive comes from what you input into this and what it gives back to you, whereas evaluative is much more how you perceive, rationalize, analyze your options and how you go about, playing the game from there. Anyway, guys, this is a lot longer of an episode than the last one. Sorry about that, but I really think that, this is an interesting series. I think it's an important one, and I think that this is while probably more basic stuff, it is very necessary to know and very important to know. And again, just like last time, let me know in the comments, just anything. If you know a lot more about this and I've missed something, please let me know. If you are interested in anything else, or if you know like the names of certain game design concepts and stuff and you want me to cover that sooner rather than later, let me know, or just tell me I'm an idiot. Go for it, But no matter what, if you are enjoying the content and if you especially I choked on nothing but my own words there. No, nothing. I just forgot the English language. Anyways, if you really like my content, especially the series or Built From Nothing, like if you want to follow everything that's going on, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell thing that tells you whenever I upload. It means a lot to me. It really does. And if you like this video, if you found it informative, if you just like clicking buttons, go ahead and hit the like button, because that also means a lot to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm Desperate 48. I will see you all next time.